You want to give this a shot? Do you trust your common sense? Do you trust your common sense?
Sure.
Sure, right? I mean, who wouldn't, right? So it keeps you alive, right? So I have two very easy questions to see if you actually do trust your common sense. So we'll see if you could get them right. All right, so...
PhD or something.
Now, very elementary level, you know, you'll see. So I have 3 water bottles here. And I painted the water blue with food coloring just to make it easier to see. So I want to see what's the difference between these 3 water bottles. They're all at rest, by the way. But what's the difference between them?
Force.
Force?
On the water.
The force on the water?
Force in the water is going that way, force in the water is going that way, force in the water is going that way.
Okay, so if I was to... So if all 3 water bottles are at rest,
yeah,
which one is in the correct position, I guess you could say?
All.
You think they're all in the correct position?
Yes, it's all just a force going in one direction. This is what a ball, it's probably light, that means that it's buoyant, it means it's floating. This is probably a force going this way to pull the water that way. This floats to the top. There's a force going this way, pulling the water that way, ball goes to the top. Force going this way, ball goes to the top.
So if
all
I had...
these are real.
They're all real, but which one is in the correct position or orientation?
Each one.
So I would tell you, this one's in the correct orientation because like you said, the force is down, pushing the ping pong ball up. This one, the ping pong ball can't be pushed down, can it? In this one,
these are all real photos. I know
they're all real
I know
photos.
you didn't make real fake photos. These are all real. It's
they're all
obvious
real.
to me.
My question
Maybe
to you
not
is,
everybody else can see that. I can see this.
No, they're all real. My question is, which one is in the correct orientation? Because there's 3 different orientations here.
All are incorrect.
I'll tell you.
Realistic orientations.
This is how this one should be, and this is how this one should be.
Oh, like how? Like what does it look like to me?
Yeah.
Oh,
like
yeah.
relative
If I was allowed to rotate. This
yeah,
thing,
yeah.
I would do that.
Yeah, if you had to rotate them, I guess I should have said that, right? You know, and which one will be in the
'cause
correct
the orientation is real. Am I allowed to rotate to an orientation that I see that's true? Then yes.
Yeah, it's obvious because of the water. The water can't stick to the top, you know, and the water can't stick to the side of the bottle like that. That defies physics.
I mean, so you have a great example here. I'm sure you're about
Exactly.
to show me right to the side.
Yeah, if I tip it, the water tips, you know, and if I tip it upside down, the water goes down. Yeah. You know, I can't make the water go to the side without tipping the bottle, in my point, you know. So it's very easy. I guess you kind of got it. The second one's even easier. There's another thing about water. When it's contained and at rest, it always finds its level. Would you agree or disagree?
Okay.
Right? So what could be another word or what could be your definition of level when water's contained and at rest? The water always finds its level. One of these, for example.
What's another word for it?
Another word, or what's your definition? Okay, that's a good word, I guess. So the one word definition will be horizontal, because you could have a straight line, but if it's on a slope, it's not level. So something that's horizontal is level. So it has to do with orientation. You know, so flat, you know, it's not really a good word. Horizontal will be the proper term for level. You know, again, the definition will be no deviation in elevation from any given point to any other point on that surface. Because if it does deviate, then it's not level. Would you agree or disagree? Again, and if you try to deviate the surface of water, guess what's going to happen?
I'm going to listen. What's the second question? What's the second one?
Okay, so the second question is, if we understand what level means, and when it's contained and at rest, which one of these two represents level, as we know it, when we're looking at the water?
What do I need to know?
So which one of these two, A or B, represents water being level when it's contained and at rest?
Well, if it's at rest and it's contained, it's already level.
Yeah, so which one represents level correctly?
Both.
A or B?
Both.
You think they're both represent level? We're looking at the water, not the structure.
Yeah, both.
So how does this represent level, if I may ask?
Because it's at rest and it's in a container, and water always goes at rest in a container. I mean, I don't even know what the container looks like, because I have no idea.
I mean, it could just be like a pool, for example, that's containing it. Let's just say it's a pool. So there's higher edges on both ends.
I mean, it depends on, like, the bottom of this, right? Like, this cannot be the only definition for water at this. Then it has to be like this and like this, because water, like, as you're saying, like, it literally goes at rest. Like, if this bottle had like a dip underneath it, the water would be curved down like that. And that's the only reason why that can exist, is because that is level, because it's water.
So you're saying if I had a bottle with a bump here, you're gonna say you would say that the surface bumps too?
I would, yeah. I'd say if it goes down, then the water's gonna go down too. If there's a bump too, the water's gonna raise too.
So let's say so if my container at the bottom goes down, the surface is gonna stay inside the bottle curved.
Yes.
So if I could bend this, the water's gonna curve with it?
Yes.
Okay, that actually defies physics, because that has never actually been shown. If you have like a plastic bottle and you try to bend it, the water's always gonna find its level.
Yes.
So it's gonna go
and
to the lowest.
Curved.
No, the surface cannot curve.
Yes, water can curve. Have you ever put out a hose and
put your
thumb
but
in
that's
it,
not at rest and it's not contained.
Well, okay, well
talking about the surface.
Okay, well I'd say so let's take like the spring water analogy with like a thumb and like a hose, right?
Right.
Imagine that happening. Take a snapshot of that moment. Like let's say like I start here, the water's going.
But those are not the conditions though. The conditions.
So I'm about to make conditions.
Sure. Okay.
Right. So it goes here. I have a hose, right? It's going out, and the water's going. I say, oh, look at the water. It's going. Okay, stop. Take a snapshot in time, right? So time is now 0. Time doesn't t equals 0 here, right? And what's happening? Well, everything's at rest. When time is equal to 0, there's no change in time. Means there's not going to be any velocity. Right. So this water isn't actually going to be flowing anymore because it's stationary.
Well, a picture is different from reality, but okay, sure.
Hold up. This is where I'm going to get to this for you.
Sure.
So let's say it's going, right? Then all of a sudden, everything's at rest. Okay, so the hose is at rest, the water molecules are at rest, like the path of the water.
I mean, in reality, they're not at rest. It's just in the picture.
Right, but see, that is why. This is also why you're giving me these.
Okay.
You want to find out if I understand this.
Sure.
I'm trying to explain.
Okay, I'm just trying to get to the end of it. Okay.
So the condition is t equals 0.
Okay.
And let's say, what else is the condition is that there's a container. Well, what if air is the container? What are containers really? How do we define what a container is?
A container, in my opinion, will be something that's solid, that's maintaining either air pressure or water pressure.
Right. So what I say is that
it has to encompass. It has to encompass it.
In like chemistry, like and some physics, like containers are defined by what the material is. Like if it's going to be air, we can define and say air is the container for this atmosphere. Like one of the reasons like we talk about like atmosphere in chemistry and physics is because the atmosphere is its own container. Like air molecules contain different.
So you're saying, if I'm understanding you, you're saying that if you pour water off a hose and you take a picture of that, you're gonna say because the air surrounding the air, that it's containing it.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
But okay, that's actually the first I've ever heard something like that. I'm not gonna lie. So okay, let's say. In reality, we know that water's not at rest because it's being poured out, right?
Yeah, like if time keeps on going. Like
yeah,
time,
but time
like,
does. We can't make time stop in reality.
See, that's what's really cool to me, and I think is what engineering is in some physics is that like we actually stop time.
You can stop time, or you can stop motion, because those are two different things. Time is a concept that comes from motion.
Yeah, like the two are very close. And when I say like those like. So even like the homework problems, like what it really is,
that's the thing.
We're stopping time. Like we stop time. What happens when we stop time?
But what do you mean when you say you stop time? If
like
I may ask?
We have to say.
What do you mean by that? What is time?
We mean. I mean, so a good way that I like to see it, like whenever I look at those problems, is that like it's taking a picture, because a picture is it's hard to see motion, right? Like if I took a picture of
a picture static.
Like
that's obvious,
car, right?
Yeah.
And I'd say, oh, okay, that car's not moving. Well, what happens if I take a picture of here as they're walking? Does that mean that these people aren't in motion? No.
Well, in that
picture, still be in motion. What happens is that there's a point in time.
Okay, let me.
That's what we're doing.
What if a picture? Okay, let me get back to this. What if a picture defies physics? Does that mean that picture is real?
Well, so that's what
if I showed you a picture of me flying, could that be taken serious?
I mean, whatever you.
In that moment in time, I'm flying. Okay, let me rephrase this back to you, so I could show you the flaws of your logic. If I showed you a picture of me jumping, but I took a picture while I was in the air and I claimed that I could fly, based on that picture, you have to believe me.
Well, it depends on who's like looking at it. Like me, like what I.
No, I'm just showing you a picture of me floating in midair because I jumped, but I took a picture of me floating. Does that mean I could fly?
Yeah, I wouldn't believe it.
Why not?
Because I know humans. Like for me, I'd go to like the basics of what I know. Humans can't fly.
So it goes back to physics. A standing body of water that's contained and at rest, like in a pool or a lake. Yeah. So a large body of water that's being contained like a pool or a lake or a bottle, the surface, once it's at rest, is always going to form an equal surface, which is level. So if you're trying to show me a picture that shows curvature on the surface, that defies physics. That's no different than me showing you a picture of me.
Are you doing psych or are you doing like physics?
Physics. This is elementary physics.
I mean, like your focus, like your major, your work.
Physics.
You're doing
physics. So that's my point. So
that's where it's like, like learning this and accepting that it is still like a point in time that is stopped doesn't mean that you can't believe that it's not, right? Like we can, like if we have a picture of like something, like I would take the hose example, right? And it stops, and there's like a picture there and it stops. It doesn't mean that for the rest of what I see, like hoses going out with water, that it's going to have, that I think that, okay, hoses that have water bent are now breaking laws. It's a picture of one moment in time of a physical example. And that can be, like, all this is one example. Now, like, when I look around, like, when I live life, I don't see anything like that. I don't see, like, time stopping. I can, like, take pictures to imagine a point where time is stopped. It doesn't mean that it's absolutely gone. Like, that man that was walking by, he was like saying, hey, it's all about your frame of reference. And, like, frame of reference is why, like, in physics, it's so important. Like, when we're saying, like, define the conditions, define the container, define the situation. Because when it's actually defined, whether it's defined by time, whether it's defined by, like, the atmosphere, or defined by, like, the material, that changes.
Based on these examples, I'm defining the container as something that's solid, and the water it's filling the void of that containment, which has to be like a crater, or a hole. The water fills the void. When once it's at rest, the water always levels out. Regardless of how many dips there is on the bottom, that doesn't matter. The surface always equalizes on the surface.
So that's why I say, in a crater, what if it's, I guess
the size of the crater.
What if it's
like my point is,
so these are pictures, right? That's the hard part. Yes, it will. Like if this is a point in time, like let's say like this is, like let's say this is a point of time. Let's say we're like the water, like let's say that this is like the crater one, right?
Yeah.
So we'd see like, okay, like it makes sense how it's like this, and then we know that as time happens, it will look like this later, right? So if time is 0 here, and then time is here at 3 seconds later, what will happen is it will end up like this. But these different moments at different points in time doesn't mean that these both can't exist. It means that these are different possible points in time where the water is actually going into that crater.
So here's my thing. When water is displaying this on the surface, it usually means that it's a river. So the water's flowing in that direction. Usually, if the water's deviating, you can't deviate water.
I wouldn't know anything about. Well,
so you know what?
I'm getting confused how we're getting to there.
So when the surface of water starts to deviate, it starts to flow in that direction that is deviating. That's what a river would be.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is, once the water's contained and it's not flowing, it's being contained like a pool. The surface of the water will never bend.
So I'd say with motion is that molecules and with the forces are always in motion in every, like,
even if there was motion with the molecules, the surface will never displace convexity like this. It would always form a level surface when contained in that.
So that's why I'd say it takes time.
Well, that's the thing. Have you ever seen a pool be filled? Like a pool? It doesn't matter where you put the water, it fills level like this. It doesn't fill up like this. It always fills up level from bottom to top.
No, I wouldn't say. I'd say it depends on, let's say like...
So I don't know what you're meaning with time. Like it happens instantly.
Oh, it doesn't happen instantly.
Unless it's flowing. But we're talking about a containment, a physical containment.
Even in physical containments, like it flows.
Okay, if you truly believe that you could have a standing body of water, like a large body of water contained at rest and bending on the surface without moving.
No, it is.
Okay, even if it is moving, but without flowing.
And it's flowing.
Okay, a contained body of water at rest with bending, if you truly believe that, then I would love to see a picture of that. Even that's not cartoons. That's not CGI.
You giving me one. This is the one that you're asking, like the people that you
this
you
doesn't.
asked to.
This isn't. This, I made this in a computer, obviously, because this doesn't exist in reality.
What program?
Let me show
What
you.
do use it with? Because that's real. That can be real.
Let me show you something. Because this is real. This is when you go to any ocean, any lake, any pool, the water is surface is always gonna be a level, basically. Have you heard of sea level?
Yeah.
The oceans are level, horizontal.
Yeah.
So to claim that the oceans.
Well, also, I mean, look at the waves.
I'm not talking
about waves in there.
Yeah, but it's level. Like this is not a lower elevation than this.
Well, that's also very far. No. Not elevation. Well, what I'm saying is like, what this is, what you've given me here, is like, if like I go like this.
Yeah.
Like, do you see how I see with this even?
Yeah.
Like this, yes, okay, I can see like far out into the distance. Yeah, I can see how this is like a level structure.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is like these parts.
Yeah.
Like these waves here, just kind of like bending.
Okay.
That can be like this. Like this is this is real. Like what you made here, this is a real example of something that can actually happen.
Okay, here's my thing. So you believe that if you're standing on one side of the lake, and then somebody else is standing on the other side of the lake, you believe that the water's bending down at the other end of the lake. It's at a lower elevation, so it's just holding itself
away?
like this.
I don't know how far. If it's that far away, it's hard for me to know.
Right.
I mean, I can see something that's maybe maybe this photo is like maybe like a foot away. So if I'm like on that lake and it's maybe a foot away, and I can see the like this.
Yeah, I don't deny the waves. I'm talking about the whole body of water as a whole. It doesn't deviate from its constant elevation.
Oh,
besides the waves.
Right? I mean, I don't know unless I like actually like.
I mean, there's a reason. Why do we use these in construction?
Oh, because I think.
Why do we use these in construction?
Because in construction, it's good to like have something that's built that's not gonna fall due to force.
What are these used for?
Like,
if we have a really long one, what are they used for? You know what this is?
Level.
The level. What are they used for?
I mean, it can be used for finding out, like if there's a flat surface, it can be used to find out the angles going on a certain, like, because with the levels, right? Like that's why there's like the 3 different points. There's different types of level.
Yeah.
That I mean, it's like saying.
I mean, one is vertical, one is horizontal, and one is just 45 degrees. But it's all relative to the level.
Yeah, and that's why it's so useful.
Or relative to the plumb, either or whichever you want to use.
Yeah, and like if I had something like here along this side, and then what is it like on across? And I haven't used a level in a long time.
So let me ask you this, because I'm getting confused. Do you agree or disagree when water is contained and at rest, it always finds its level? Because if you disagree with that, then
yes. And I'd say like over how much time?
No, okay. It always finds its level. Yes. Well, now what's your definition of level?
My definition of level?
Yeah, your definition of level. I'm curious.
It's gotta be. I mean, level is. Okay, so I guess if I'm gonna describe level, how do I describe it? I mean, I describe it like as a line.
What about the line? A curved line?
If I define a point, so that's where it's. No, I'd say that level is not a curved line. It's not, or it's not a line that has some type of like a hyperbole. Or
right.
That can't. I would say that's not what level is. Level is where there's a point and another point, and it can be described by y equals mx plus b.
Okay, what does that mean in reality?
That means like if there is 2 points at all, right? Then whatever that line is between those 2 points, that is always going to be level.
And what's that relative to? It's just because you could have another point up here and another point down here and connect.
And every point, every time.
How can that be level and this be level when they are the opposites? Because it's not just by about 2 points.
Well, how do you want to say level?
You want to know what? Yeah, level is an orientation. Do you agree or disagree? Level is an orientation. It has to do with orientation. It's perpendicular to the vertical. Do you agree or disagree?
Perpendicular to the vertical.
Which is up and down.
It has to be 90?
90 degrees from up and down.
So level has to be 90.
Level is 90 degrees from the vertical. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I'd only go by because I don't do like the what is this like more like your like construction?
This is my personal
work, like
thing,
how you've like worked through seeing.
Sure.
Well, I mean, to me, it's like when I see something, like I don't really worry if it's like if it's perpendicular, then I'll be like, oh, okay, it's perpendicular. But like when I hear level, the reason why I don't think like it is something that has to be perpendicular is because I can like draw out something that'll be straight.
Right.
Because when I really go to the reason why I don't think in level and I think in like straight, like I think in straight lines, is because there's a lot of straight lines, and it gets to me. It gets very hard if I only see level. So if I only see level when I look around, then like I'd honestly I'd get lost. Like when I look at, I mean, shit. You know what an example is? It's like looking at like this crosswalk.
Sure.
Like if I look and I say, well, like if I walk here and I walk straight, like every other person here, and I'm walking like level the entire time, then I don't actually see the lines here that maybe I can be level there, right? So like from here to there, right? Those are still straight lines. It doesn't mean that it's not. Well, the way I see it, it doesn't mean that level can't be. It doesn't mean that I can't change where I turn to be level. What it means is there's now a lot of lines that are right in front of me.
Yeah, so I would say that level simply means, in my opinion, well, not my opinion, it's a fact, but again, if you disagree with that, I would like to hear your explanation to why. Level is, you know what a plumb line is, or a plumb bob? When you put a weight on a string. A lot of people in construction use it. So a plumb bob is when you put a weight on a string and you let it dangle. Obviously, no air resistance to move it around, just let it dangle. That will be considered true vertical. That will be considered a straight up and down line, vertical, right? So if we get a measuring device to measure 90 degrees from that vertical, that will be a horizontal line, perpendicular to the vertical, an L basically, right? That's 90 degrees. So level simply means a straight line that's perpendicular to the vertical. So it's basically a horizontal plane. That's what level means. It has to do with orientation. That's driven or derived from the vertical.
I'm gonna agree with the perpendicular.
Yeah, perpendicular to the vertical. Right. So
it can be a plane to see.
So here's my thing. In engineering and in all construction, all facets of construction, all plumb lines are parallel to each other. So if you have a plumb bob right here, and then I go 10 miles that way and I hold a plumb bob, technically those two verticals are perpendicular. You know what perpendicular means, right? They're both in the exact same position, up and down. So water being level relative to that vertical, parallel, they're both parallel. And then water being perpendicular means, again, that it's a horizontal surface that's always perpendicular to the verticals, which are always parallel. Again, these are facts. Water flows again, but that just
water
shows.
Flows.
That means
water is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, you ever been in the ocean? Been like, holy shit, this is like the strongest.
The waves, it's a strong current. That's for sure.
Like,
I agree.
Like, or like, play any sports?
Yeah, I used to.
Yeah, how I see water is like, it's like getting like hit with something, like playing sports and like getting hit, right? And then having to, that's why it's like, you gotta go with the flow, kind of like catch yourself, find balance and go. Because what it's like is, like there is a lot more flow in the world, like trying to like keep your own balance as the world knocks you, or as you have forces on you, to actually make sure that you are going like where you need to go. Water, like all the things, like I'm happy I'm on land. Like if our world was water all the time, it'd be so hard. Like walking, running, like that would be easy.
I mean, they say the air is kind of like, it's kind of like water. It's moisture. So we kind of do live in a medium. It's not as dense as water. That's obvious. But there's obviously friction. When we move, the more you move, the more friction there is. So the air does get in the way in a sense. But our muscles are obviously adapted to it now, so we don't really feel it too much. But when you go into a denser medium like water, then I can see how it'd be hard to move and walk and stuff like that. But yeah, at the end of the day, again, if you truly believe and can come across a genuine even a photograph I would take at this point of water bending when it's contained and at rest. I would love to see it, because that's literally the reason why I'm out here. And I'll give you my channel so you can check it out.
I see.
Yeah. We didn't even get to the part of the subject.
This is where I'm confused, because you actually...
yeah, because we can't even agree on what level means, so I'll just leave you with the flyer.
No, I actually don't believe that. I think we're actually agreeing.
Okay.
I don't know what you are doing.
Well, the title of that flyer speaks. It will speak for itself.
Brainwashed, would you want to know?
The
honestly,
inside title on top.
Earth is not a ball. Perspective.
Just the title. Those are the 6 proofs that debunk that we live on a spherical Earth. Water is the number 1
I
proof.
see. Well, I believe that you can learn more about it, and you probably don't need to do this or this, what we're doing, like this.
So let me ask you this.
I believe you actually can learn this.
Okay.
And from our conversation, if you actually choose to learn some of this, like some of the Euclidean geometries, some of the maybe algebraic physics, I think you probably do good in those classes.
Sure.
I don't think you actually I don't think you need this. To be honest.
Before you go, let me ask you two questions before you go.
Yeah, because I was gonna. I was also I'm not from this campus. My brother goes here, and I'm walking around.
Yeah, I don't go here either.
I was going to be a physics tutor for the calculus physics program at my university.
Okay.
And I said no because I didn't want to do the work. But I also know the students that can, and I was asked to do it.
Yeah.
And I'd say honestly, you kind of understand from our conversation where I'm going to.
Yeah.
And I don't think you need to believe this. If you believe this,
before you go, 2 questions. Yeah. Very simple. You believe the Earth is a ball, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Second question, most important. Why?
Why?
What physics can you show me that convinces you that the Earth is a ball? What's the number 1 proof?
You've done a good job proving to me that you already understand. You have a picture here.
So why do you believe the Earth is a globe?
Because this picture.
Because of waves?
Yeah.
So because waves exist, you believe Earth is a ball. How do you go from waves to the Earth being a ball?
Waves to Earth being a ball? I guess because so if I go with forces, right? So if forces are all over.
What is a force? Let me ask you that, because I know this is a huge.
It could be a gravitational one. So let's say a gravitational force.
Okay, in reality, a force, they claim that it's either a pull or a push, right?
Yeah.
So technically, a force is something that's moving. The F equals ma. Force equals mass times acceleration. You tell me what a force is.
I would say a force is just anything that push or pulls. That's
okay.
It. If I'm standing here, I'm being pulled on by the Earth.
Okay,
so I'd say right now I'm getting pulled down. If I jump, the reason why it's not easy is because I'm getting pulled. The reason why I go down again is because I'm getting pulled.
Okay.
I don't have a choice in it.
What if I told you, I don't know if you knew this, but the force of the Earth has been measured to be an upwards force. It's not a downwards force.
So I'd say that
I've heard
of that, and I'd say that there's so many forces that unless I actually took the time to know all the forces, I can't do it.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of a free body diagram?
Free body diagram? I think I've heard something like that.
A free body diagram is an attempt in physics to try and draw out all of the forces on a thing. And it's very hard. If I was going to take a scooter and it was moving, and I would have to try and describe every with arrows.
I know the forces of the wheel spinning, the centrifugal force. I get it.
All of it.
Here's my thing. When it comes to force and the claim is a pull or a push, only one of those exists. Only push exists. So I'm gonna explain to you why.
Push.
So the mechanisms of something that has motion is always.
What about me right here?
That's what I'm gonna explain. So a push, for example, if I want to move this bottle, I have to push it, right? I have to make physical contact with it and push it in that direction. That's pressure. That's a push. Yeah. How do I pull this?
How do you pull it?
How do I pull it? Well, how does anyone pull it? Okay, that's applying a pressure.
I pull it to you.
I'm pushing it towards me now. So pull is only a description of direction. So when you pull a door open, you're still applying pressure. You're pushing it towards you. And when you push it open, you're pushing it away from you.
Actually,
so what are
you actually are good at this.
Yeah.
Wow.
So what are the mechanisms of
good.
pull? That's
very good.
That's the question.
So what I'd say is like yes. So what happens is that the push and pull idea is a very basic idea in like algebraic physics, like because it's either
pull
either
is an idea.
It's either push or pull.
I'm trying to figure out what is a pull.
Yeah, what I'd say is that you are getting to what a problem I've had before is because then it gets harder to understand it because there is so much action in the world that takes more than just pushing. Or I guess it's like the push and pull idea. I don't think is very good. I think what's a better way to describe it is the type of force. Because forces take some type of energy to do, right? Like if this is like whatever this is, right? It took some energy. Whatever this is, like it takes some energy, right?
Yeah,
whatever like this is,
I don't know.
it all takes some
Everything
energy.
you're doing right now, it's motion. You move to it. Force is motion. So something has to be moving to be considered a force. F equals
so this is what I'd say is that because some forces are very hard to see, it gets really hard unless we draw it out to know that it exists.
That's the thing though, if there's a force present, it should be measurable. Do you know what an accelerometer is? You've heard of an accelerometer, right?
Yeah.
So an accelerometer detects acceleration or detects motion. So every phone has an accelerometer. So if you hold your phone with an accelerometer open and you accelerate it left, you accelerate it right, you accelerate it up, down, doesn't matter what direction you accelerate it, it's gonna register that force, the G. Right?
Yeah.
Guess what happens when you put that accelerometer into free fall? Do you think it registers the acceleration down?
Have you tried it?
Yes, it doesn't. So,
maybe it's broken.
So I don't know if you heard of Einstein's theory of relativity.
Well, I think your phone's
my point is that even he acknowledges that reason why he came up with the theory of relativity for gravity is because there is no force acting on a free falling object. That's why it's called free fall, because it's free from any forces. So when an object appears to go down,
what about your phone? Your phone is broken.
No.
You can't see the accelerometer.
So another
because the accelerometer on your phone doesn't work doesn't mean the one on mine doesn't work. Like
you could try it with
download an accelerometer right
and
now.
put it into free fall, and it's not going to register acceleration. 100%.
Yeah, will?
No, it won't.
When's the last time you tried this? Or who is this from? Is this
Anybody
from
could do it.
video,
Anybody could do it. So a simple accelerometer will be a water bottle with air and water. Want to know why? So this is an analog accelerometer. That will be a digital one. So I'm still sticking to accelerometer.
You have a tool that you've used.
Sure.
That I don't think.
No, yeah, trust me. It's not going to register acceleration.
This is one of the greatest tests. This is what Newton did. Remember the apple?
Yeah.
The apple falling.
Yeah, the apple doesn't move towards the ground. It appears to go towards the ground because the ground is moving up towards the apple. So the whole Earth is moving, pushing up against us.
So, okay, so this is why it's.
The apple doesn't accelerate and hit Newton's head. Newton's head came up to the apple.
So I'd say, this is why I say the free body diagrams are so important to you, because the free body diagrams try and draw out all of the so if each force takes some amount of energy, right? If it takes electrical energy, if it takes chemical energy, I guess a good one is with this, this, we'll say physical energy.
Mm-hmm.
All of those can be drawn on a piece of picture, trying to, right? That's what those pictures of the human anatomy with what the motion looks like, whatever. That's what that's for. Is to try and draw it out. Otherwise, it can't be understood. It's too freaking hard without a picture. So I'd say it's you have the idea of understanding that push and pull is too simple.
Well, only one exists though. I still haven't found an example of what pull is.
I'd say okay, and what I'd say is then spend some time trying to look at calculus physics, because I think you're going to actually I'm gonna say easily, right? I think if you spent if you honestly took a college class here for fun, or you on YouTube and you 'Cause it is harder than that. Like it's not like push pull is not good. Like all forces exist and all forces have to be like drawn out. Yeah.
You're familiar, or you accept that we experience air pressure here, right?
Yeah.
And would you accept too that when you have a body of water, there is pressure that can be registered when you dive deep into the water, right?
Oh yeah, like atmospheric pressure.
Did you know that if you were to put like a pool, for example, into free fall, any pressure measuring device is not going to measure any pressure in free fall? You want to know why? Because there's no force acting on that free falling body. So it's not just accelerometers.
It depends.
It's not just accelerometers. It's everything.
You're right.
Yeah.
It is the accelerometers. Like the measurement is like this. Like the tool of measurement decides everything. Like without a great tool to measure what's happening, then it makes us believe that all of like what we know is gone, right? Like I guess a good way to say it is like let's like take the pool in free fall, right? If the pool's in free fall, right? Well then it can be like anything else that like I have in free fall, right? Like
you believe that's moving towards the ground, right?
I know that there is a force. There's gravity.
Well,
gravity doesn't stop.
So you believe there's a force moving that towards the ground, even though Einstein already admitted that there's no force.
Gravity force each time,
okay.
All the time. And Einstein probably believed too. This is why he probably got confused. He's like, well, like he knows that gravity is always there because he can do this. Like he can wake up.
You want to know why that happens in reality?
Gravity.
Well, gravity is not a pull; it's a push. You want to know what that is? So the Earth is not pulling objects down towards it. Gravity, the Earth is pushing up against you. So you're not being pulled towards the Earth; it's the Earth pushing up against you. So
let's say there's more. There's a lot of forces.
So, but there's motion. So the Earth, being a level, it's moving up like that. So when you release an object, the object doesn't move towards the ground. It's the ground that comes up to meet it and simply catches it up because this loses momentum.
You're both are true.
Well, I know they talk about the normal force, and that normal force is the only force that exists, which is up. And they claim that it's a normal force, but it's not moving. The fact is, Earth is moving.
Oh, so that's. Oh, I don't like normal force. I know what you're saying, because you're right. Normal force is not. It's not a good word.
Right.
It's not normal.
Right.
What it is like if the Earth. Or I'm gonna say.
Sure.
Even if it's flat.
Sure.
Right.
Well, I don't claim it's flat, but yeah.
That's it. Like whatever's happening.
Sure.
Right. Because. Do you believe in space?
Well, the Earth has to exist somewhere. I don't believe in a vacuum of space. I don't believe in the vacuum of space.
Let's just say like there's space.
There's an area outside of the Earth, sure.
And what happens is because like the Earth is moving, because there's no choice. Like we can't decide if the Earth moves or not. Like
I agree with that.
The Earth is incredibly big, and as it's like whatever the Earth does, like something that I do. Like to me, it doesn't look like anything's like I don't believe that the Earth is moving right now because all I see is this. But what I do know is that even if I know that I can't see the Earth moving, I know that why does this even happen?
I'll tell you why. Because it's starting to lose momentum. So when you're holding it, you're connected to the Earth.
So that's why I disagree. That's why I say is I know this can happen because something so big is creating a force so strong that this can even happen. The reason why.
So why do helium balloons go up if it's so strong? Why do helium balloons go up?
Because now it's about the container. Now there's like different containers. Like an Earth is so big that not only is it not like one like material, it's not like just brick. The Earth is so big, it's made out of incredible amount of materials.
Sure.
There is the atmosphere. There is the ground.
So let me ask you this: do you agree or disagree?
Can I get to the helium?
Sure. That's why I'm going.
The reason why I bring up the helium is because, like, if the helium, like, let's say the balloon was filled up, and let's say it was like stuck into the concrete, right? Like, let's say there's construction going on, like somebody fills up a helium balloon and shoves it into the concrete, and it's a helium balloon. The helium balloon is going to stay there. It's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Now, if I fill up the helium balloon and it's like in the air, and I let it go, the helium balloon should go up.
Yeah.
Well, like when it's on the ground, the helium balloon, there's the concrete that's so dense that's like keeping the helium balloon down. It's so strong and it's keeping it down. Now the helium balloon, when it's in the air, the container, like the
Air?
atmosphere, is a different one.
Okay.
What happens is because the helium balloon is less dense, they start flying all the way up.
Would you agree or disagree that the helium is being pushed up?
Oh, it is.
It is being pushed up, right?
Yeah,
What is it being pushed up by?
By the air molecules.
And what's pushing up the air?
What's pushing up the air?
To be able to, or does the air push itself, do you think?
The air pushes itself. I'd say air is like... I'd say air. The reason why the air doesn't escape, right? The air, that's why, like, why is air part of Earth?
So the question is, how does the air push up on the
Yeah,
helium?
I'm gonna get to that.
Yeah, okay.
The reason why I can do that is because the Earth is like this big, let's say big thing, right?
Sure.
And what's happening is that because the Earth is so big, because it is like this big mass, all it does is like stick together. Like it gets everything it can and keeps it all together. And with air, it's like air is one of the things that the Earth keeps together through its like the sheer size of it being so big. And that's why I say it's a force, because push pull, okay, force, yes, because the force is like always there, no matter what.
Well, force means mass that's in motion. F equals ma equals mass times acceleration. So
Yeah.
something that has mass has to be moving to be considered a force.
Yes.
Yeah. So when you release an object into free fall, obviously matter cannot move itself, right? That's a fact. You can't. Matter doesn't accelerate
It has to
itself.
be a force.
Exactly.
Right.
So what's this magical force that's accelerating this down?
So like the one type of force that
And also, what's the force that's
Gravity.
pushing helium up? There's two vectors right there,
Yeah.
one down and one up.
Yeah.
So what is this force?
Okay, so there's in that one.
Yeah.
That's I'd say gravitational. Force.
Gravitational force that
Because
cannot
of-
be measured, by the way. Even
Well,
Einstein
that's
admits to
So
that.
let's say is that it can. It's just what makes it hard. Gravitational force so hard
Yeah.
is because it's so big.
Yeah.
Gravitational force, like there's the F equals ma, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then because gravitational force is so complex, there is a different formula for gravitational force.
Yeah.
It's the force is equal to like the mass of one object times the mass of another object
Sure.
times like this gravitational law
Sure.
that was invented divided by the radius of like whatever the object is. And that's because gravitational force it's like so strong
So strong.
that it was so
So
hard
this
to
gravity
measure.
is pulling the air in and pulling everything in, right?
Yeah.
So it's a flow down to the center, right? So
Yeah.
you're saying? So if there's a flow of gravity going down, how is it that the flow pushes helium up?
What happens? Okay, so let's say like right, it's so strong.
Sure. Yeah.
What
It's
I'd
down,
say,
though,
what
down.
I'd say is, and this is what happens with gravitational force, is the farther and farther something gets away from whatever that gravitational force is, the weaker and weaker it gets.
But a helium balloon will go up even if I put it right next to the Earth and I
yeah,
let it
so,
go. It'll
so what
still go up.
happens
Why?
is helium is so. Okay, so I guess no, it's not helium. Okay, so if let's start with the air.
Sure.
Right? So the air is already kind of like being pulled down
Yeah.
by the Earth. And what happens is as that helium is like, I guess like goes into the balloon, right? There's already those air molecules like
Pushing down?
Yeah. So if it starts here, it's already being pushed down. Okay? It's constantly being pushed down. And then as it actually starts, well, it's like before it even starts, what happens is.
The air goes to the bottom and pushes up.
Yeah, yeah, like.
So it's not pushing down and up.
Well, that's good. It's
So
true.
it should just stay
So
floating.
that's what buoyancy is, and that's why the ball example that you had is very good. Because what happens is when anything,
Yeah.
even with forces, when anything is less dense, like it exists anywhere,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter the container. The forces are still going to be there. That's what makes like material so interesting. Because it'll slow. What happens is because it's less dense.
Yeah.
It'll still go up. Even though there is gravity still on it,
Yeah.
there is still air pushing down on it.
Yeah.
Density matters so much
Density, sure.
that the helium will still keep going. Even though the Earth is pushing down on it, the air is pushing down on everything, and it's still so light. It is still a lightness is all it means is that there's like less molecules together, right? Like if this Earth is like this big, dense, like molecule heavy one, in the helium balloon, because there's like, let's say like there's 100 molecules,
Sure.
and in the atmosphere there's like 100 million.
So it's like anti-gravity is what you're saying. So it doesn't get affected by gravity is what you're saying.
Well, it still is. It's just what happens. Because what happens when the helium balloon goes all the way up out of the atmosphere?
Well, I want to know what's happening when it's rising.
Right.
Yeah.
This is what happens is that it goes against gravity the entire time, right? It goes up.
My question is, how does it do that? How does it go against gravity? What's the other force that's able to push it up against gravity? It has to be another force.
Oh, so
that's my
that's
point.
What's interesting, right? Is that the forces? Okay, so that's where. Oh man, this is why I love this shit. Okay, so with forces, with density, what happens is that there are materials, there are objects in the world that are lighter.
Yeah.
And what lighter means is that when forces go down onto these objects float. Right. And it's amazing to think about.
Yeah, so just real quick, because I know you brought up buoyancy, and that's a key factor to understanding gravity. So buoyancy, we know that if something is less dense than the medium that surrounds it, buoyancy is going to get pushed by that medium, right?
Yeah.
For example. So the way you recreate buoyancy, because I've done these experiments, I can show you real quick. So when you have an air bubble in a water bottle, and let's say that air bubble is centered, if I accelerate this bottle this way or this way, the bubble is going to get pushed by that force, because me accelerating the bottle pushes on the water, and then the water pushes on the air. So the air bubble gets pushed in the direction of acceleration, right? So if I was to show you this picture here, so what direction did I accelerate the bottle, down or up? Relative to the bottle, what direction did I accelerate? Did I accelerate down or did I accelerate up?
Accelerate up.
Nope. I accelerated down because the air bubble gets pushed by the medium, which is more dense, and it gets pushed in the same direction I accelerated. So the same direction the force was present is the same direction that buoyancy goes. So buoyancy.
Also, this is. Okay, I see what you're saying is that
so if
the
I
air bubble. So let me define.
Sure.
So the air bubble is lighter than the water.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
It's less dense.
Less
and
dense.
there is this bottle, right? That is, I'm gonna say, it's in air, isn't it?
Yeah, outside of the bottle is air.
Yeah,
Sure.
outside of the bottle is air. So it goes air, bottle, and then
Water
small,
and air.
Yeah, small little air bubble, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm gonna this is where free body is like. So like if I started with this, I'd be like, okay, what forces does it start with? And so like I don't even know like where this bottle is. Like
it doesn't matter.
Upside down? Is it floating?
My question is
it down? Is it up? Is it in the air? Like, I have no idea what I'm looking
if the air bubble always gets pushed in the direction I accelerate the bottle.
So I can't start this. This is where this is what I'm trying to get you to like understand why. Like,
why can't you start there?
Because what happens is then it gets too confusing. Because then, what you're doing now is when you look at this, instead of like starting with like the time equals 0 point, like instead of like you trying to draw it out yourself, then it gets really easy to. I don't want to say it's easy. It's not really easy. It's that it gets confusing. It's like everybody will start. This is where like I think you're saying, because you'll start saying like, oh well, these videos show that. The problem with videos is that it's not like a picture. Like if videos are like all pictures at different points in time, right?
Yeah, there's just
frame per second, right?
Yeah, frame per second.
What gets really hard is knowing what happens at each second, because like when we look at something, like we can tell ourselves it's true, but what happens is that drawing it, like actually like trying to figure out what happens.
We're kind of going into some. We kind of went off my point. My point is that buoyancy shows you when there's a force present. That's my point.
Buoyancy shows you when. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, right. So in free fall, I actually did this in free fall as well. Guess what happens to the bubble rising in free fall? So the air bubble is rising. As soon as I release it, it no longer gets pushed up. So the bubble is rising fast, and as soon as I release it, that force vanishes. So the bubble doesn't get. There's no buoyancy anymore because the upwards push of the Earth is no longer being felt when I release it. Because when you're connected to the Earth, anything that you hold, you're basically moving as well.
Well, what I'd say is, I'm trying to see what you do.
Yeah.
Can I pause this?
It's actually a GIF. Yeah.
Okay, so you rotate it.
Yeah, it's upside down, and then I rotate it right side up so the air bubble can rise. And then as soon as I release that, the air bubble doesn't rise anymore. It stays relative to.
Okay, so I guess like the star is like the air bubble rises.
So that this basically
Right.
shows that there's no force in free fall. That's my point.
Well, hold on. I want to understand what you're saying because
Sure.
I think, like I said, I don't think you're wrong. I think you are starting to understand this. You're going in a way that you don't need to go.
Well, I mean, this is reality.
Yeah, it is. This is what I'm saying.
So why do you explain this?
I'm gonna try.
Sure.
So you have the air bubble go up, right? Because of the buoyant force, like in that.
When you're
bubble.
holding it, when
Yeah,
you're connected to
holding
the
it,
earth.
right? So okay, so I say
The push measure up.
the air bubble it starts. So I guess if I start with the bottom,
Sure.
right?
And the air bubble's
the
rising.
water and the like when I start from the very beginning, like in your video, like if I was starting as I was like, and the air bubble is where the bottom. Like
It's on the
I'm holding
bottom,
It's on the bottom.
and then it starts to rise. Let's say we just blew an air bubble in there.
Okay, so it starts rising, and then as it starts to rise,
There's a force
then
present because obviously it's showing that.
and then I let go of it. Is that what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Okay, so as I let go of it, then the air bubble stops
Rising.
rising.
Exactly. Through the medium. So because the medium's no longer being able to push it because it has no pressure.
Force is still going down. Well, that's where. Tell me what you believe.
So what's happening is the earth is moving, pushing up against you right now. So that motion transfer is being felt through the medium when I'm holding it. That's why you're able to measure a force. And obviously when the air bubble is rising, it's being pushed by the water that's inside the bottle because I'm being pushed by the earth, which is moving up as well. So as soon as I release this, let's say the earth was moving at 1,000 miles an hour, hypothetically, going up. As soon as I release this and remove the force of me holding it, it starts to lose that 1,000 miles an hour. So it starts to slow down. So this is still going up, but it's just
I
slowing
don't
down.
understand where you went to that. We were agreeing on everything.
So what happens
Now-
is when
now
the
you
bubble
go-
when the bubble is rising, it's moving up with me with the earth. As soon as I release it into free fall, it's no longer connected to the earth.
There must be a hard problem.
So the air bubble stops rising because it's no longer feeling that motion of the earth moving up. So that's why the air bubble stops rising because it's no longer being pushed up. That's why. So helium balloon, same thing. You could put a helium balloon in a big box, and you could see the helium
How did
balloon.
you get to? Okay, I'll
Helium
say
balloon will do the same. You put the box into free fall, the helium balloon no longer gets pushed up by the air.
Is this film part cut from this smaller video on the bottom left?
They were filmed simultaneously, two different angles. So
Right, so
one
this
angle
is-
is the phone, and one angle is me. One angle is me showing
This
it.
is where I'm confused. I think this is the problem with camera of having different angles. I think that if you zoom in into the smaller one that you did on the left, what you're going to see is that by not very much,
Sure.
but by a little, not by a little, as that water is going, the air bubble will probably slowly, maybe not as quickly, it will still slowly continue to rise.
You could see that it does rise.
But see, that's the problem is that
Yeah.
with this angle, like, okay, so let's say,
No, you're right. You want to know why that you can still see the slightly motion moving up because it's decelerating. It's losing its momentum. So
Oh, yeah,
something cannot be moving at 100 miles an hour and go to zero in an instant. It has to slow down.
Yeah, it
Everything
does.
has to slow down.
Yeah.
So that's why we do see that slight motion still moving up because the air bubble is slowing down within the medium.
Yeah.
Because when you remove the force, things don't just go from moving to static in an instant.
Yeah.
They have to slow down.
Yeah.
So you do see that motion up. My point is, if this was truly accelerating down, that air bubble should be getting pushed down in the direction of acceleration. So if you claim there's an acceleration in free fall,
oh no, because
that air bubble should be pushed down in that direction.
Because this is the give us the free body for this.
Sure.
This has both buoyancy and the force of gravity.
Well, buoyancy is only an effect of motion, of a force.
Oh, see, that's right. That's it. I don't think so because that's what gets crazy. It's like let's take that helium air balloon, right? The only reason why the air balloon moves is because of buoyancy. Buoyancy is an actual force.
Yeah, it's an effect of a force. So it's a chain reaction.
No.
It doesn't create itself.
No, it
You
is.
said the helium balloon doesn't push itself up, does it? It's the air. And then the air doesn't push
no,
its...
It's the material. That's what gets crazy. Is that it's the actual like what is the air bubble? The air bubble is air. What is
Yeah.
the water? The water is water.
Sure.
Right? That means that the forces between those two are still just like the ones with something that's any object that's lighter.
Right.
It has buoyant force, and that's another fucking problem with physics. Is that we do not talk about buoyant force. Buoyancy is not like this
this little special idea that is only like that's gonna like take away everything from all the forces, like the forces of gravity, forces of normal force. No,
Right.
it needs to be called buoyant force, because what happens with those lighter materials like that helium, there is a buoyant force going up because it is so light.
So okay, but that's the thing. I don't know. You could look this up too. Another experiment: helium balloon inside a vacuum chamber, right? It's going up. You suck the air out of the container. What do you think happens to the helium balloon?
Ooh, if it's in a vacuum, the helium in a vacuum,
And then you suck the air out.
Now the motion is if the molecule it's probably gonna not move.
So what happens is when you remove most of the air, because perfect vacuums don't exist, obviously, but when you remove most of the air, what happens is the air becomes less dense than the helium, so it's no longer able to push it up, so the helium falls down again. So showing that it's the air pushing up on the helium. So my question to you is, what's pushing up the air?
No, you have this all right.
No, the simple answer. The simple answer.
Wait,
no,
why are you asking me a question?
No.
Why do you ask me a question when you already have the answer?
Yeah,
like
because I don't think you have it. So the Earth pushing up
We're
against
agreeing. We actually
Okay.
agree about these answers now. Like you actually, I can't believe this. You understand the physics well enough. I don't know why you're trying to convince.
Okay, so
others
you agree
they
that
don't
it's
know.
the Earth
You
pushing
do
up
know.
against the air, or disagree with that? The
pushing
Earth is
up.
pushing up against the air, and the air is pushing up against the helium.
Yeah, Earth is.
So there's no pull. There's no
Yeah.
gravitational field
Well, I
going
guess,
down.
Why don't you like gravity? Why do you want to say
Gravity is a
gravity?
push. It's the motion of the Earth. It's not a pull of the Earth. So the force is
Well,
up.
as I say, remember when I said that all forces are just like something that's created energy? Like energy
Sure.
creates some type of force.
Well, force
That's
is
an
motion.
easier- that's
Force
easier
is
way.
motion,
See, well, force is mass times acceleration.
which is an object
Right.
in motion.
And it can be very hard to see or know the acceleration. Mass is a bit easier because it can be so big. Like with the Earth, the mass can be so big. It can be so complex that can be a force that can be like it needed to be measured because it was so like, oh wow, this is like so big.
Right.
So I'd say is I believe you get buoyancy, you get the forces. I don't know what you're actually asking me now. I think you understand it.
Here you go. Look. Here I accelerate. I applied a force in one direction. Again, what direction would you say I applied it? To the left or to the right? To the left or to the right? What direction did I accelerate?
What is this? Apple or helium?
An apple and a helium balloon. What direction did I accelerate?
The apple. Where is this in air?
This is in air and it's in a cargo van. So I accelerated in one, I accelerated forward, and in one I accelerated in reverse. But
So
this
what
is
do I
one.
think happened?
So which one did I accelerate? Did I accelerate right or left?
I think this is gonna be. Let's see. Head here is going back. I want to say that the car went forward.
Well, in this direction, right?
Yeah, in that direction.
So what happened here, I recreated buoyancy because when I accelerated the van pushed on the air that's inside the, because again, because of inertia, the air wants to remain where it's at. So when I accelerated the van, it created a pressure gradient in the air inside the van, and then that air is more dense than the helium, and it pushed it in that same direction that the car was accelerating. The apple is more dense in the air. Wait, let me finish. The apple is more dense in the air, so the air is not dense enough to push the apple. So the apple only appears to swing back, but the apple never swung back. It was trying to remain still. But
the apple's still there.
Yeah, the apple's still there, but my thing is that the apple didn't swing back on its own. It tried to remain still, and the whole system moved.
Yeah.
But because the air's not dense enough to push the apple, it gave that illusion that it moved back.
Yeah.
So when you release an object, the air's not dense enough to push up on the phone like it is a helium balloon, so it just appears to go down because of inertia. It just wants to remain motionless. And because the Earth is already in motion, when you release an object into free fall, it wants to slow down. So the Earth is moving through space, but it's a level. So again, if
the
the
level, okay, level part I take. Oh, hold on.
Sure. Because I have this too.
I'm actually like, I'm a bit tired now.
Sure. Trust me, I've been here for 3 hours too, so I'm about to go as well.
Honestly, you doing your own experience. Now you've explained to me what I know is true.
Okay.
I don't know why you believe the Earth is flat.
Because if the Earth is pushing up against us, how does that work from a globe? It will have to be growing. If the Earth is moving up against us, pushing up, how will that work from a globe if the force is up?
That's what I'd say, because it's so. Oh wait. So the force that's up, right? Is that the force that you were talking about?
Yeah, the force of the Earth is up, is a push.
Are you talking about the normal force?
Well, you could call it a normal force, but I would say it's just the force. It's a force that can be measured through buoyancy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you put an accelerometer on a giant helium balloon, that accelerometer will measure that acceleration up. But if you put an accelerometer in tied to a bowling ball, that bowling ball is not going to register acceleration down. That accelerometer is not going to register the acceleration tied to a bowling ball.
Why do you? What is it about something that's heavy that you think is?
Well, something that's more dense in the air.
I'm sorry. I also did something in neuroscience, and I'm sorry if this starts to get too into your minds. Do you feel heavy that you don't believe in heaviness?
I only feel my weight when I'm connected to the Earth. I don't know if you knew, in free fall, people experience weightlessness. I don't know if you knew that. Yeah, zero G flights. That's why it's called zero G, because there's no force acting on you. On Earth, we have experienced 1G.
Yeah.
And the force is up. So in free fall, you're just slowing down, and the Earth catches up to you. So the Earth basically catches up to you and crashes into you. You don't crash into the Earth.
Is this what you do? You have work?
Oh, I work. Yeah, I wish I could do this every day. I work a normal job like everybody else.
What do you work as? I'm an EMT.
I feel like it's irrelevant, but I work in movie. Yeah. I feel like that's
hopefully
irrelevant.
that works. 'Cause, I don't get it because you're describing physics.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. It's elementary physics.
Well,
What the mainstream did is
it takes time.
the mainstream. What
It
they
takes a
did.
couple years to do.
I've been
You know
into this
people
subject
I know that
8
don't
years.
want to do this.
8 years I've been studying this. 8 years. 2016 is when I came across this subject, and 8 years, and yeah, my understanding has only grown.
Hey, do you have a degree already?
I think a degree is just an obedience degree, basically, so it doesn't really matter.
I mean,
That's my opinion about
I'd
PhDs.
say, I mean,
It's just an obedience certificate.
yeah, I mean that's true. I mean,
Let's be
you
real.
could probably go to a university and you can probably. I mean,
That's why I'm
if you
here.
have- if
I'm
you
trying to have intellectual conversations with professors, even if they want to come up to the table. If you know of a
this is
professor,
where I know what's hard. Is after I graduate, professors don't want to talk to me anymore. We go there to get our degree and then we leave because
sure.
they don't really care. They're there to take our money.
Sure.
And it's
So-
it's still their job.
So-
They don't really want to
So
talk to me.
I'll leave you with this, just a heads up. I know you've heard of flat Earth, and I'm gonna tell you this: over 95% of flat earthers claim the Earth is motionless. So they deny, they're gravity deniers. So they basically they're a control group. So all these flat earthers have fallen into another psyop. So I'm not a flat earther. I'm a realist.
You are honest. You're talking like a physicist. What?
Yeah, I don't know what that means, but I'm not a flat earther, by the way. So I just acknowledge the reality of the situation we're in and the physics that are shown to me.
Yeah, I mean, this is confusing. So you work in movies, right?
Sure.
Are you a film editor?
No. Moving.
Moving?
Yeah.
Moving?
I
Oh,
work
like
in
construction.
moving. Yeah, kind of like that.
Or moving.
Yeah. Moving company. Yeah.
You get a lot of hours doing that?
Oh, I get work every day almost. I have to take days off to come out and do this. I don't make money doing this, by the way. I don't monetize.
I don't
My
know this.
channel is super censored, and I don't even want to get into that because obviously you're gonna think that. But my channel is super censored in the sense where it doesn't get recommended in the algorithms. My subscribers get removed. My views get removed. My likes get removed because they don't want this information to blow up. So all these fake flat
If I'm
earthers,
being honest,
they are gonna get promoted.
I think it's not. It's that you're just not. You just don't have a degree. That's all. It's not that you don't.
Why do all these other flat earthers get promoted though? All these motionless
what do I
flat
believe?
earthers.
I believe because that actually makes
A motionless flat earth
it
makes
makes
sense.
Facebook the money.
Oh, okay.
If you are actually
Fair enough.
If you're actually talking.
Sure, yeah, they are
physics,
making money. Yeah.
What you're doing is what you talk to any engineer, physicist.
I actually have, but yeah.
Any STEM degree. If anybody actually took the time.
Oh, if you take my channel, actually my last conversation was with a scientist. It was like a 40-minute conversation. You could check it out if you want. Again, if you don't want to take it, I get it, but I do have conversations with scientists. And, and they can't prove the growth either.
Yeah, what I'd say is that it's because nobody with the physics. My brother's an engineer. He does not want to do it all the time. And if my brother was right here walking around and he saw you, he'd be like, I just finished doing 5 hours of homework, looking at a photo, or I had to sit around in my room and I'm stressed out of my mind.
Right.
I'm not gonna talk about physics in my free time.
No, yeah, I get it.
I'm exhausted. That's all it is. I don't think that you're getting it wrong. I think the
Sure.
If you think that there are those that don't believe you,
They don't have to believe me. I'm presenting reality for what it is. Water being level is the number one. If you think you found water that bends when it's not.
Why do you do movies? Like, okay, isn't there a job you could do like in?
Okay, let's stop talking about me. Let's talk about the claims. Because talking about me is kind of weird.
Wrong, though. That's what I'm trying to understand is I don't know.
How am
why
I
you
not
say
wrong
this.
when you're saying you truly believe? Okay,
I
so
believe-
you.
if
Well,
you have
okay,
something
so if
you
I'm not
wanna
wrong,
do,
then you're
I'll-
wrong, then, right? Believing in the globe.
No.
So how can I not be
Because-
wrong and you not be wrong? It doesn't make any sense.
How can we agree?
How can I not be wrong and
God
you not
damn,
be
man,
wrong?
what's happened to you lately? I'm saying we agree because I believe.
No,
you.
but you believe the Earth is a ball, and I don't believe the Earth is a ball. How do we agree? Where do we agree? I'm losing you right there.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, because I don't think.
What do
I
we
think-
agree on?
I like as I talk to you, like as somebody who's like had to like do physics and like biology major, I think like if you give our conversation some time, like whatever you're thinking, you're gonna
Sure.
learn from it, and you're gonna like be like ah. So I don't really like mind it, but that's why I say let's see. Like
Okay. So I would say we don't
get it.
agree. I would say you have beliefs, and I would say that I just go with what reality shows me. Because you can't back up your beliefs physically. Again, a force being detected in free fall has never been measured. Physical acceleration of an object in free fall has never been measured.
okay, honestly, is this like a white and Mexican thing? Like what is it? Man, I work with so many people that know some physics. Like it doesn't matter what somebody looks like. No, like I know.
You're the
when
one that
somebody
brought up
actually
race. I don't know.
knows what like that. Like I don't know how we're getting like disagreed here.
Because you believe there's a force that accelerates objects to the ground that has never been detected or measured. So a gravity as a pulling force doesn't exist. So that's where we're disconnected. So the force is the motion of the Earth pushing up against.
How long have you been doing that?
It's irrelevant. I'm not talking about
Yeah,
myself.
okay.
Yeah. What do you do for a living? Come and ask.
I'm an EMT.
EMT?
Yeah.
What is that? What is that exactly?
I work in the back of ambulances. I like care for people that are
okay, that's good. That's good.
about to, like
Yeah.
dying or need
Yeah,
to go
oh, that's good.
hospital to
That's
hospital.
a good job, I guess.
Yeah, I mean the pay is. I mean I'm at 21. I mean I'm worth like 28 an hour.
Right.
And I'd say like right now it's at 21.
I mean, any points?
Like the pay
Sure.
right now is like 21 to 30 an hour.
Sure.
I work for a company called Lifeline. Don't ever say you know me though, because
Right.
like it'll just make like that relationship weird. What I'd say is like getting an EMT license. It takes
Right.
6 months at a
Sure.
community college,
Sure.
and then we're working back at ambulances, and
Sure.
it's like I mean the pay can be good. I mean, there's always like people that lie and say, oh
Sure.
like I've maybe done this for like a year, and then it's really work really hard to listen because if you're talking about physics right now.
Yeah.
And,
Basic
like,
elementary physics,
yeah.
to be exact.
Yeah.
Not engineering, not.
Yeah, I'll say is that like at like Lifeline, there are a lot of people like have done STEM degrees or done some sort of science or have an interest in science
Right.
or in health,
Right.
and then they want to work there. And that's what
Right, right. All right. Well, I mean, any questions that you have before I go? I mean, maybe that could trigger me
I'll
to
let you
believing the
do whatever
globe.
you do normally for your fun.
Sure.
And I'm sorry if it was too heavy of a conversation. Change it. Just,
Oh, this is nothing.
But
This
you-
is nothing. If you would have took my info, the last conversation I had was actually really good with the scientist, and I highlighted a lot of his points that basically fall apart when But I get it if you don't want to take a look at it.
No, it's
Yeah.
that.
No worries.
Okay, so I guess I just say that no. I mean, it's not that it's no worries. God damn, man. It's
I mean, I respect people's beliefs, and I'm not out here to try to convert people. I'm just out here presenting simple facts. Whether people want to accept these facts or not, that's up to them. But again, I'm not out here to try to convince people. So if that's what you think I'm trying to do, that's not what I'm doing.
it's more like. Yeah. Hey. Have a good rest of the day.
All right, man. You too.